Have you ever felt undervalued in your relationships? Do you long to become the person they can't live without, the one they always cherish? In the game of love and life, there is a strategy that keeps you in the winning position, becoming the person they fear losing. It may sound harsh, but in reality it's about building a strong and independent version of yourself. What if I told you that the power to become someone they fear losing doesn't lie in pleasing others, but deep within yourself? It's about cultivating inner strength and unshakable confidence that make you irreplaceable no matter the circumstances. This isn't about playing mind games or using tricks. It's about becoming the most powerful version of yourself, the person no one can bear to lose. Let's explore together how to transform into the person they fear losing through resilience, self-mastery, and Stoic wisdom. Before we dive into the content of today's video, I want to take a moment to share a story about my best friend. Don't be surprised by the fact that I'm starting with a story, because everything we're about to explore today revolves around this tale. I want to tell you a true story, one that will vividly illustrate the points I wish to convey. Let's follow each step of the main character's journey closely, because I believe you will find similarities and valuable lessons for yourself. Stay focused, because what I'm about to share may very well be a turning point on your own journey. Liam was a sincere young man devoted to love with all his heart. From the day he met Sophia, he knew that his heart belonged to her. Every day, he eagerly awaited her messages. Just a short line from her was enough to make his heart flutter all day. Whenever Sophia called, he was there. No matter how busy he was with work, he was always ready to change his plans to fit her schedule. For every date, Liam prepared meticulously, from choosing the restaurant and selecting the dishes to finding the perfect seat where she would feel most comfortable. Liam devoted all his time and energy to this love because he believed it was the right thing to do. He thought that if he loved deeply enough, sincerely enough one day, Sophia would understand and reciprocate his feelings. But Sophia seemed oblivious to his efforts. Or perhaps she noticed them but simply didn't care. She often showed irritation over the smallest things, and whenever she frowned, Liam would rush to find ways to make her happy, sometimes spending hours just to coax out a smile. In return, however, he received only indifference and coldness. She was sweet to him only when she needed something, when she wanted someone to pick her up or help her with some task. Yet Liam continued to make excuses for her, telling himself that maybe she was just too busy with her work and life. Everything truly exploded one evening when Liam decided to visit Sophia unannounced. From a distance, he saw her stepping out of a luxurious car. Beside her was a man he had never seen before. They were laughing and talking joyfully, and Liam saw the man gently take Sophia's hand while she leaned affectionately on his shoulder. Liam's heart shattered instantly. Each heartbeat seemed to stop, and tears began to fall. Liam realized everything. The moments he had poured his heart and soul into, the efforts he had put into this relationship, all had been one-sided. Sophia already had someone else, and everything he had once believed in came crashing down. Liam felt like a fool, deceived by his blind hope. In the days that followed, Liam was engulfed in sorrow. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and couldn't focus on anything. Memories of Sophia kept flooding his mind, causing him more pain. He blamed himself for not seeing the truth sooner, for letting himself be swept into this unrequited love for too long. But then, one day, Liam realized that he couldn't keep living like this. He couldn't let his life be imprisoned by these negative emotions forever. He decided to change. He began by cutting all contact with Sophia, deleting all messages, pictures, and memories related to her. Liam started focusing on himself. He returned to his love for running, picking up the books he had long forgotten. He began participating in community activities, meeting new friends, and gradually opened his heart to the world outside. Each day that passed, he gradually regained his spirit and confidence. He also sought advice from close friends, listened to their encouragement, and understood that loving himself was the most important thing. He began keeping a journal, writing down his feelings, what he had gone through, and how he was recovering. Writing helped him release his emotions and slowly realize that he was not a failure, but a person learning to grow from his stumbles. Day by day, Liam gradually recognized that his value did not depend on whether Sophia loved him or not, but on how he learned to love himself, accept himself, and live a meaningful life. He realized that while Sophia might not have valued his feelings, he did not need to lower his self-worth just because of someone who did not know how to appreciate him. And finally, Liam found peace within himself. He no longer waited for messages from Sophia, no longer obsessed over old memories. He realized that there were still so many wonderful things in life to experience, and no one had the right to diminish his inner light. Liam came back stronger, more confident, and ready to love this life the way he deserved. He had become the person others feared losing, not because he clung to anyone, but because he knew his true worth. If you have ever been like Liam, constantly seeking validation from those who do not appreciate you, then consider yourself fortunate, because the universe is sending you an important message. It is time for you to change and become a stronger, more independent person. This is your moment to step out of your comfort zone, redefine your own worth, and stop looking for approval from people who are undeserving. You're here for a reason, and that reason is to discover that your value is not tied to others' approval, but rather something you determine from within yourself. This is the time to turn your pain into strength, and the universe has brought you here to this message for that very reason. Imagine how your life would change if you no longer had to endlessly chase after external validation, but instead stood confidently in your own self-worth. Picture yourself becoming someone others fear losing, not because you try to please them, but because you exude confidence, strength, and self-control. Now is the time to pause and ask yourself, am I living true to my real value? To help you do just that, we will explore 4 Stoic strategies that you need to apply to become the person they fear losing. These strategies are not just theoretical. They are valuable lessons learned from our friend, Liam. Thanks to his courage and wisdom, we have a detailed plan to transform from a state of despair to one of power and confidence. These steps helped Liam break free from the chains of seeking validation from others, turning his pain into personal strength and rising stronger than ever before. Now it's your turn. Don't wait any longer. Pick up a pen and get ready to jot down these Stoic principles, because they are more than just advice. They are the keys to unlocking a new life, a life where you are in control, a life where you become the center and no longer depend on anyone else. These principles can change your life for the better, helping you find freedom and strength from within. Be ready to embark on this journey, a journey to become the best version of yourself. Let's start now. And number 1, stop being afraid when someone leaves you. According to Stoic philosophy, we need to understand that love, like everything else in life, is always changing and is not necessarily meant to last forever. When someone leaves, it is not a personal failure. It is simply a part of the natural order of things. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we cannot control everything that happens in life, but we can control how we respond to it. When someone we love decides to leave, instead of being afraid and drowning in sorrow, we can choose to accept it and find freedom within our own minds. In Stoicism, love is seen as a part of life, but not its entirety. Love, no matter how beautiful and profound, is just one of many experiences life has to offer. Rather than being consumed by the fear of losing someone, we should focus on our own value and what we can control, our thoughts, emotions, and actions. When a relationship ends, instead of letting fear and sadness dim the light of our lives, we should view this as an opportunity to better understand ourselves and discover new values. For instance, imagine you are in a passionate and sincere relationship, but one day, your partner decides to end it. You might feel heartbroken, wonder if you did something wrong, or blame yourself for not being able to make them stay. However, in the spirit of Stoicism, instead of trying to change what you cannot control, focus on changing yourself. You cannot control their decision to leave, but you can choose how you react. You can take the time to heal, learn from the experience, and grow stronger from that pain. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Everything that happens is an opportunity for growth." In love, a breakup is not your end. It is the beginning of a new journey. By accepting that everything in life can change, we no longer fear when someone leaves because we know that every loss brings a lesson, an experience that helps us become stronger and wiser. Practicing Stoicism in love does not mean we do not love deeply or value relationships. It means we love with the understanding that love, like everything else, is temporary. We cherish the beautiful moments, but we are not imprisoned by the fear of losing someone. Instead of living in anxiety and fear about the future, we live fully in the present, love wholeheartedly, but never forget that our worth is not dependent on anyone's presence. Another example is when you give your heart entirely to someone and they decide to leave to pursue their own dreams. You may feel hurt, but if you understand that true love is not about possession, but about freedom for both individuals, you will learn to let go. You will no longer fear separation, because you realize that someone leaving does not mean losing love. It simply means that love has transformed into something else, a love for yourself, for life, and for what lies ahead. By living in the spirit of Stoicism, we learn to stop fearing when someone leaves. We love fully, but without dependency. We learn to accept loss as an inevitable part of life, and from there, find peace and strength to move forward. So number 2, do not put your happiness in the hands of others. Putting your happiness in the hands of others is giving control over your life to factors that you cannot control. Relationships, whether with family, friends, or romantic partners, can change or end. If we make our happiness dependent on these relationships, we will easily feel lost and hurt when they change. This makes us insecure, vulnerable, and constantly living in fear of losing what we perceive as the source of our happiness. However, the truth is that happiness does not come from the outside. It must come from within ourselves. A common example is when someone seeks validation and love from others to feel complete. They believe that only when someone loves and respects them can they feel happy and confident. But this is like building a house on sand. When that relationship does not meet expectations, or when the other person is no longer there, their happiness crumbles. This leads them to become dependent on external validation and forget their intrinsic worth. That is why building a strong sense of self-worth and confidence from within is so important. Part of the problem lies in not realizing that everyone has their own struggles, needs, and desires. No one can forever meet all our emotional needs, and vice versa. When we place too high expectations on others to bring us happiness, we unintentionally create pressure on them in the relationship. This often leads to tension, conflict, and eventually disappointment. A healthy relationship should be built on the foundation of self-sufficiency and happiness from each individual, rather than expecting someone else to make us happy. True happiness comes from accepting oneself, knowing how to love and respect oneself. When we understand our value, we will not need to rely on others to feel whole. We can enjoy life, the small moments, and find joy in the simple things around us. This does not mean we do not need others, but rather that we do not depend on them to feel happy. Our happiness is the result of living authentically, loving and developing ourselves fully. Number 3, establishing personal boundaries. Establishing personal boundaries is essential to protect our peace and self-esteem. Boundaries are not signs of distance or selfishness. Rather, they are necessary for maintaining mental and emotional well-being and ensuring that a relationship is built on mutual respect. A healthy relationship cannot exist without clear boundaries, which help both partners understand each other's desires, needs, and limits, ultimately fostering a more sustainable and profound love. Establishing boundaries in love also helps prevent unhealthy behaviors like control or possessiveness. For instance, if you are dating someone who is frequently jealous and wants to control your every move, you need to make it clear that the relationship should be based on trust, not control. You could say, "Honey, I understand that you care about and worry for me, but true love should not come with control. I need the freedom to grow and feel safe in this relationship. I hope we can build our love on the foundation of mutual trust." Setting personal boundaries in love is not just a way to protect yourself. It's also an act of loving both yourself and your partner. When you clearly define what you will and will not accept in a relationship, you're laying the groundwork for a lasting love where both people feel respected and valued. This helps the relationship grow in harmony, where each person feels free and not bound by unrealistic pressures or expectations from the other. Number 4, focus on self-care and personal growth. We often seek validation, love, and support from others to feel fulfilled and happy. However, this can easily lead to dependence on those around us and cause us to lose control over our own lives. Instead of allowing our thoughts and emotions to be swayed by external influences, we need to learn to care for and develop ourselves, building a foundation for happiness that comes from within. Taking care of and developing oneself does not mean being selfish or ignoring others' feelings. It means understanding your own values, needs, and goals. When you prioritize personal growth, you are less likely to rely on external validation to feel satisfied. This approach helps you build confidence, self-esteem, and self-reliance, enabling you to face any challenge without being overly affected by external factors. A specific example of this is investing time in your passions and hobbies. Imagine you love photography but have neglected it due to a busy work schedule or fear that others might not appreciate your work. When you decide to dedicate time to this passion, you start learning new techniques, practicing regularly, and creating photos that reflect your unique style. You stop worrying about what others think of your work because your joy comes from the process of experiencing and discovering, from the exhilaration of doing something you love. At this point, you realize you do not need anyone else to define the value of your passion. In relationships, not depending on others allows you to maintain freedom and independence. For example, instead of constantly needing attention and affection from a partner to feel secure, you can find joy in other meaningful aspects of life, such as work, social activities, or positive friendships. You will see that while love and recognition from others are valuable, they are not everything. In this way, you keep your spirit free, not bound by the expectations of others. Moreover, focusing on personal growth makes you more confident when facing challenges. Rather than waiting for support or encouragement from others, you learn to find your own solutions and bravely overcome difficulties. This not only helps you become more mature, but also brings a sense of pride when you realize you've stood strong and overcome obstacles through your own efforts.